Welcome back to another edition of That Time When. This is where we take you through the archive of Trekzone. On this edition, we're flashing back to November 2019 for a Talkin Science interview. I was speaking to a couple of the guys from Northrop Grumman as they were just about to launch their Antares 230 series rocket on its maiden flight. Welcome to a Trekzone conversation. I'm very excited today to be hooking up with Northrop Grumman in the US. They're just about to launch Antares and Cygnus to the International Space Station. I'm now joined by Kurt and Frank from over there. Gentlemen, thanks so much for your time today.
Our pleasure.
Glad to be here.
Kurt, firstly with you, with Antares the rocket, can you tell us a little bit about it?
Absolutely. Yeah, Antares is what we would call a medium-class rocket, and the first stage is liquid-powered. It uses kerosene as a fuel and liquid oxygen as the oxidizer. And the second stage is a solid rocket motor called the Castor 30XL. And we carry, our mission that we're talking about today is carrying Cygnus into low Earth orbit and dropping them off so that they can do the rest of the mission of carrying the cargo to the space station. So it's a single use, and after the first stage is burned out, then it separates, and then the second stage ignites and carries the Cygnus into orbit from there.
Fantastic. Well, Frank, on Cygnus, it's obviously a resupply craft for the International Space Station. What's its carrying capacity, and is this its general day-to-day mission, as it were?
Yeah, so carrying capacity, we can take up about 3,750 kilograms of cargo. As part of that cargo, we also carry a lot of science experiments. We actually carry live rodents as part of our cargo.
Wow. And
we carry powered payloads, so those get loaded into the vehicle, and we provide power and telemetry and commanding of those experiments. That all gets loaded on the ground here at Wallops. We put the final cargo in about 24 hours before launch with a system that was developed between the Antares and Cygnus team, and then once Antares puts us into orbit, Cygnus will take it the rest of the way autonomously from about a couple 100-kilometer altitude to the 400-kilometer altitude of the ISS, where it autonomously berths with the ISS. It'll get grappled by the crew once we get there, and then it stays on the ISS 3 months or longer, as we've demonstrated. And then we also perform a very critical task where the crew will pack us full of the trash that they don't want to have anymore on the ISS. We'll take that away, and we burn up in the atmosphere with that trash in the cargo module.
That is very cool. Well, Cygnus is, as we're talking about, getting the lift into space this weekend, and as you said, carrying just shy of 4 tons of supply and hardware. How does it all fit inside the capsule?
Well, we have a pretty good sized pressurized module, we call it, a pressurized cargo module. It is pretty big in there, and we have optimized the packing of the cargo in conjunction with NASA's cargo team to figure out the most efficient way to pack it in there. Most of the cargo gets delivered to us in special bags we call cargo transfer bags. And then our team, NASA will tell us how many bags, how big they're going to be, how heavy they're going to be, and then our engineers figure out the most efficient way to pack them. And then once those are delivered, we follow through in that plan, and they're packed in all sorts of nooks and crannies in the cargo module. They're strapped down. We provide airflow to keep it cool in there and thermal control for the powered payloads. So we've learned over the missions, this will be our 12th mission to the ISS, we've learned through that process, we've optimized it a few times along the way to maximize just how much we can carry.
So there's some very good Tetris players on your team.
That is exactly the way to think of it. Exactly.
Well, I'm loving the fact that as part of this payload this weekend is a ZeroG Oven for the astronauts to bake in space for the first time. So it's a pretty critical launch that we've got happening this weekend, isn't it?
It is. You know, we look at all of these missions individually. Of course, we've done it several times, and every mission is special. Every mission takes a tremendous attention by the Antares team and the Cygnus team to get it right. We do many reviews to make sure everyone's comfortable that the vehicles are healthy and ready to go. So these missions are critical for NASA, for our customer. They are very critical for the crew on board the ISS and for the folks that are sending science that's going to take place on the ISS.
Well, a question for both of you. 50 years ago, the launch to space was very much a government industry thing with NASA and Roscosmos. Is it better these days with many companies aiming to reach orbit and beyond? Is it sort of a little bit of a different space race, if you will?
Yeah, I think it's absolutely different, and I think it's absolutely better. The predecessor company that I started working for in 1991 was Orbital Sciences Corporation, and Orbital Sciences was the first developer of a privately developed rocket called Pegasus, which flew for the first time in 1990, and just had a successful launch for NASA earlier this month from Florida, the ICON mission. So I think bringing private investment and entrepreneurship to the space launch business has just accelerated innovation, and it's also brought down the cost of access to space for all the users, including government users. And I think on this particular project back in 2007, we were awarded the COTS Space Act agreement. That's Commercial Orbital Transportation Services. So that was really NASA's attempt to prepare for the post-shuttle era and get private industry to develop the capability to do cargo delivery to the space station commercially. That was, I think, from that start in 2007, look at where we are now. This is the 12th cargo delivery mission, and we've delivered a lot of cargo, and NASA doesn't have to, and they basically outsourced the logistics in terms of carrying cargo to the space station. So I think it's been a huge success just in this particular program in terms of developing the commercial capability and then allowing NASA to take advantage of that commercial capability.
And just one thing to add to that, as part of the COTS program that Kurt talked about, while we were awarded the COTS program, it was actually, NASA was less of a customer and more of a partner, where we both invested in developing the capability of getting this cargo to the ISS. And the contract isn't where NASA is buying a spacecraft, they're buying a service. So we provide a logistics service. It's our rocket, it's our spacecraft, and then NASA pays us to perform the service. So it's been a great partnership. NASA's been a great customer and partner in that whole thing, and it's been a successful business venture as well.
Well, in the last episode, I said that I love my job here at Trekzone because I get to meet some really cool people, both from film and television, but also in the science space. We're doing some amazing stuff here in Australia and around the world as well. The human race are doing a lot of great stuff, like those guys from Northrop Grumman. Would love to get back in touch with them, and I might reach out and see how they're tracking as part of the commercial resupply program. That is, of course, the Antares rocket, still flying today, which is just incredible. I can't believe that interview was almost 2 years ago. Well, if you want to catch it in full, you got to click the card on the YouTube video, or if you're listening to me on a podcast, jump over to Trekzone.org, scroll down to the That Time When section and click Northrop Grumman, and that'll take you over to the official watch page of this episode. From there, you can click the link through to that original post. But for now, and as always, I'm Matt Miller at Trekzone.
Keep up to date with Twitter. Catch new podcasts daily on YouTube. Plus, we're beaming to your favorite podcast app 5 days a week. Just search for Trekzone and subscribe.